Do you remember from a while ago when I was working on the ground, you know, how I was repeatedly cropping, then scaling, moving, cropping, scaling, moving, and so forth, and all that? You remember that, right? Well, that's pretty much what I'm trying to do right now, except for one thing. I'm trying to automate the process. That's right, automate. Why? Well, it turns out that from numerous plan changes I've made, yeah, notice the huge number of pages I've got here in my massive design document. Yeah, this is basically what things have become for even Jeremy's house, but all the worlds have been pretty much redone entirely. I spent the last 3 days reworking that. All of yesterday trying to figure out a problem I've been having. Yep, you might notice the format's changed quite a bit from the last time when I was making worlds and such. Terrain layouts described, all the scenery, required things, extras that might be added, although not required. Some things I'm kind of debating on, of course. But it does give you the idea. Yeah, this is the repeat span, the standard repeat span, used in everything. You might have seen that in previous videos. However, I have a problem. Given my previous video, or the two before this one, involving the various game objects like the springs and jewels and all that, you're probably thinking, okay, if I can program in all that, and I've also stated that I can program pretty much any game behavior, right, I can pretty much do that. I already have all the knowledge I need for programming every aspect of this game. It's just a matter of time. However, I do have a problem. What's the problem? Well, I'll have to kind of demonstrate here. Let's see, which one of these is it? Now, you remember this texture here, right? Yeah, this texture here. Looks pretty exciting, does it? Well, that's actually this because this is a grass texture. So what am I doing with this? Well, you remember the days when I had a 2-channel ground system, right? And then I upped that to 3 channels. I even thought that was pretty impressive. But Sentus Reef is having problems with contrast with the fog way out where that one high island is. So I needed to increase the number of channels considerably to fix that. And it turns out that 12 was about reasonable. Although 8 was originally planned, I went with 12. I was amazed as to how nice 12 looked. But from those latest plan changes I've made, given this, of course, that you've been probably seen, well, that's the thing. The 12-channel system is just not quite precise enough, especially for the closer part. I need more channels. Trouble is, with the 12-channel system as it is already to begin with, there's just one problem. It takes 2 hours of repeatedly processing and scaling. Now you're starting to see why I need the automation, right? It's pretty self-explanatory. Like, if I wanted to scale this texture here to 1/4 the size, I just divide that by 4. I memorize powers of 2 very easily, because I work with them so much. But if you notice here how smooth this came out to be, okay, I'll do a 2x. Okay, this appears a little rougher looking at the 2 compared to the 4. Okay, now I'm going to do an 8. Wow, that's quite smooth here. And that's the thing. This is what I'm trying to do, except I'd be cropping a portion of this image. And that's where my automation comes from, is so I can do that for 240 total layers. Yeah, that's right, 240 total layers. This, if you remember from before, this is my spreadsheet for this. Notice the 240 here. This is actually the first one that I do. And this is the last one. Notice that it starts on 0. It's based on array indexes. They always start on 0 instead of 1. Yeah, so the first item in an array is always index 0. The second is index 1, and so forth. You just need to. It can get a little on the confusing side at first, but you get used to it eventually. But you might be noticing on the degree, on the precision, on the scaling that's now used, it's so much finer than what it used to be. a lot finer. And I do need this kind of precision for pretty much what I'm otherwise working on, for the latest plan changes. And if you remember from that how I processed the ground video and the demonstrations I've done, you might remember the Y crop and all these other things here, right? Well, that's pretty much what this is. However, I'm automating that, and there's a big problem. How big of a problem? Well, if this black image is any hint, yeah, notice that it's all black. Yes, I have a problem. I need to figure out why is it outputting all black. It makes no sense. So I've been going around fine-tuning this program here. I've got all these little structs and stuff defined and such. No problem there. Results, that's the container that I'm trying to write the data for. Notice the F write. This is the output data size. 1024 is always the same width, although the height varies. Oh yeah, one thing you might be thinking of. Okay, if I'm going from 12 channels to 30 channels, you're probably thinking that it's going to end up taking 2.5 times as much memory, right? Wrong. It's actually more like barely like a 3% increase in size, memory usage. Hardly anything. It will increase the number of draws, however, the only downside. However, with optimization and the like, that can be cut down some. And that's part of the reason for the 1024 width, is to help cut down on the number of draws needed. However, you might be thinking, why doesn't it use 2.5 times as much memory? Easy. Height actual. This is the actual height of the image. Previously, it was anything from 20 to 24, at least after I made a small fix, if you will. The 19 became 23 that I originally had, and the 26 became a 22. However, the general average is about, I don't know, 23, 22.5, somewhere in that kind of area. But look at this. Look at all these tiny numbers. The width is the same, but the height is so much smaller. There's a lot of 8s in here. There's nothing higher than an 11, when the previous low was 20, and there were very few 20s at that. That's quite a difference, a huge difference. And that's why it doesn't take up much memory. This is the total amount of memory that this particular channel uses, and this is the total up to this point. Why is this one blank? Easy. The terrain is what is where the 1 is. Yeah, that's the reason for that. And for the water waves, those are actually considered scenery elements. But this is the total amount of memory needed for all of the ground layers. That's in bytes, by the way. So it's about like 6.3 megabytes or something, I don't know. 6.4 if I'm looking at it right, for a quick mental conversion. Let's see. However, as I go through here and set up all these handles and the such, getting down the list here, notice the use of stretch bolt for stretch block transfer. Well, it's pretty much the same here as source copy. Have to set this for one reason. It's otherwise to provide this smooth effect. Otherwise it's, well, I'll show you what effect if I don't have that will be. This is what I'll end up getting. That's a no-no. That's definitely not right. So that's why I need to have this. So what I'm trying to do is try to write this output. And here, if you're looking at this closely, 128 times loop count, that's because it's trying to be repeated, so it spans the entire 1024 width, if you know what I mean. This is the target size that I'm after. This is the part of the original source image that I'm using. The source image is huge, by the way, if this array size is any indication. Yeah, that's 75 million. That's basically what this image is right here. However, you might remember that Y crop and such, that's what this is. This is the height of the original output that I need to be recording. However, the problem? Well, let's run this program. You might be noticing that this is not a Platform Masters either. It's something else. Now if this is a Platform Masters, now why am I not working with the Platform Masters engine? Easy. This program is used for tests and general automation and type stuff. However, for this particular use, 11 and 12 are what I need to use. Process standard ground layers for Platform Masters. Process water ground layers for Platform Masters. So which one do I use? Well, in this case, I'm working on grass. Now, is grass water? Well, the plant itself may be a lot of water, but it's not a pure water texture. So in that case, I use 11. No problem. It runs. Okay, now I use 0 so I can quit. That's all I need. Now let's go look at the results. It should be really nice and smooth, right? Well, it's not, and that's the problem. So, thinking that I've got a bug with this program somewhere, I thought, well, since my Platform Masters game engine's in working order, and I can see all the things which detail, okay, why not just record the output in the buffers? Sorry, ain't gonna work. And that's the problem I'm having. Why am I only getting black output? Like here, you should easily see the waves, the underwater section. That's quite bright. Right in here, you should see the really bright green hills, the bright blue sky, and the occasional clouds here and there. Platforms scattered around here, the start platform supposedly here or so. And you know what the start platform looks like, right? So, why am I getting this? Why is it all black? So, let's go look at the output data. Let's see. This is that original thing here. You can see the huge... This is the original image data. Let's open up that image so we have some comparisons to go by. Make sure it's loading right. Okay, this is now loaded. I'm going to run this program and let it hit this breakpoint. Okay, same thing as before, 11. Okay, it hits the breakpoint. No problem. Now, notice that I'm accessing the test variable here. And you got test here. It's 0. Okay, that's because it's what I initialized it to, and it's not referenced anywhere else. So, I'm going to execute that line. 8. Okay. That's loop count being changed. And here it's 77. And here it's 33. Okay, let's go look at the image now. 8, 77, 33. Okay, color picker, I need to zoom in a lot, so that way I can see the actual output. That doesn't match. And there's a reason for that. Bitmap images don't draw from the top down, they actually draw from the bottom up. Now, you suppose if this pixel's the right one? Aha! There's those numbers. That's the reason. It's bottom up, left to right. That's how bitmap images are actually drawn. But you might also be noticing that the order is reversed. That's because bitmap images store the order as blue, green, red, instead of red, green, blue, like most of us are familiar with. You have to keep in mind. Now this is the second pixel on the map. Remember these numbers. 9, 207, 36. Remember those numbers, okay? Remember, that's the loop count. This one should be 9, correct. And this one should be 207, correct. And this one 36. Bullseye! So, I can tell that this data is being loaded properly, just given that little bit. Now, I'm going to load the results one, which is where this is being written to. And of course, if you look at all this here for this big mess here, if you know what I mean. And don't forget the breakpoint. Hit save, and I'm going to execute it again. And just for reference, I'm going to scale this to an 18:1 ratio. After, of course, I crop it. Let's see, 18. What was that number? 2304 would 576. Make sure that same portion of the image is used. Actually, it was a 1999. Okay, I'm copying exactly what this here all represents here. Okay, I'm copying that otherwise exactly. Okay, now you remember this pixel here, right? I need to layer the image size. Now I'm going to crop this to that same target 128 size. Okay, you remember these, right? Okay, that's these numbers here. And of course that's a 32, however. But what's going to happen is that only the first 11 are going to be referenced. In this case, this is what portion of the image is being used. So this very first pixel, this is what I would expect to see in the actual results. So what's going to happen? Let's find out. Ready? Oh, that's why. It hasn't hit the breakpoint yet. Okay, you remember those numbers, right? 0. 0. They're all zeros, no matter every time. And if you look at the results, look what you see. Nothing but zeros. Way down the list, and all I see is zeros. It suddenly widened because, well, this got wider, but it's still zeros. Going still further down the list, and guess what? Still zeros. And that's the problem. So you might be thinking, okay, let's mess. You might be thinking, maybe its stretch bolt is not being hit. Okay, let's try that now. Okay, it's getting hit. And by the way, I have put test equals in front of there to see if it's what it's returning. It's returning 1, so that means it is executing properly. No problem there. This function executes properly. I'll go into that just for reference. Long string. This determines the actual amount of data that the image uses for, let's see, this part here. Actually, it's this here where it's referenced. This is a parameter in the function. All this works all properly, and I can check and verify that. However, this is the part where the image data is actually written, which you actually see in the image. That's what this is. What's with all this? That's just all the header information. But this, guess what it writes? Nothing there. All zeros. That's the only thing it writes. Okay, so all that's working right. Now, the problem is, why is it writing zeros? Even in the game engine for Platform Masters itself, referencing the front and back buffers, either one, don't make a difference. All I get is black. Why? What is going on? What am I doing wrong? Is there something else that I need to do or something that I'm completely unaware of, as per my primary weakness in programming? Well, another thing I want to also mention, you might be noticing this. Yep, Winamp in the background. That's that Ronus theme you might be familiar with. I've changed it. Yep, I've changed this particular tune around just a little bit to But it turns out that even already I've lost all my motive for working on the music of the game. And it turns out that I'm apparently going to end up needing to get my fans or something to actually work on that, especially the music-oriented one. And I'll just show you. This is my Platform Masters website, the one I've dedicated for that. And if you want the details, just go to the audio section. And look at all these question marks. Oh my goodness, there's so many question marks. Yep, and this is the whole section for revolving on the contributions and stuff. Yep, and well, if you want to make some contributions, go ahead. All the details are described here. It seems like a lot, but really relatively short sections and the such. But it does give you the idea, and this is the Platform Masters logo, the title, that you'll see on the title screen. Of course, I've yet to get to the title screen part, which is a long ways down the road, but of course that's graphic related, and I can do that on my own. No problem there. But anyway, this, just so you know, this song is actually played at 115% true speed. It's not shown here for one reason. Well, it's because it's screwed up. This is the actual sample rate that's being used. However, I changed the speed for one reason. I need to bump the notes up a bit. Let's see. 115 log divided 2 log times 12 semitones per octave. And that's how many semitones up it is compared to the original. So it's about 2 and 5/12, almost right on. 2 and 5/12 seems kind of silly, but that's about how many semitones higher in pitch this is, just for reference. I just wanted to show you that, let you know. That's basically about what I need. 110 to 115% true speed seems to have about the right pitch I need. So basically the notes need to step up 2 more notches on the scale. But anyway, this video was created by Ulillillia. Thank you for watching.